Hey everybody, this is Anthony from VR Game Rankings. Welcome to episode 50 of our daily vlog series. Yeah, can you believe it? We've actually made it through 50 of these things, although I still have to make it through this episode, obviously, to get through 50 of them. But it is December 11th. Today is Fallout 4 VR Day, and we are incredibly excited here at VR Game Rankings for Fallout 4 VR. It's obviously coming at 4 p.m. Pacific. Of course, by the time you guys actually get this episode on YouTube, you'll probably be playing Fallout 4 VR, and you really won't have any time for this episode, but hopefully eventually you'll get tired. You'll want to take that headset off. You'll want to come back to reality for a brief minute before you dive back into Fallout 4 VR. And while you're taking a quick little break, why not watch this show? So hopefully you'll be watching this episode in between your Fallout 4 VR play sessions. So why don't we go ahead and jump right into the news right off the bat. So basically the number one news story, of course, is Fallout 4 VR. It is available right now as I speak. And basically we have a few minor news stories that is related to Fallout 4 VR. Now, obviously, I am recording this earlier in the day, and I have not actually played Fallout 4 VR myself, but I can tell you we do have a handful of minor news stories that is related to Fallout 4 VR. Number one, we have Green Man Gaming. Okay, so a lot of people bought Fallout 4 VR on a discount through Green Man Gaming. I don't remember if they were giving like a 20% discount or a 15% discount or some type of discount, but it was able to save people a little bit of money. So a lot of people went ahead and picked it up through Green Man Gaming. Now, a lot of these people have been very nervous for the last several days because they have not received their Fallout 4 VR keys yet. And they're wondering, you know, hey, I mean, this game's coming out in a matter of hours. When am I going to get my Green Man Gaming keys? Well, the good news is, earlier this morning, a lot of people started to report that they were getting their Green Man Gaming keys. So those keys should be showing up. So if you ordered it from Green Man Gaming, you should be okay. And you should check your emails. You'll be getting those keys very shortly. The other news that we have is that preloads are now available. A lot of people are wondering, hey, when am I going to be able to download this thing? Am I going to have to wait until 4 p.m. Pacific and then start the download process? I mean, I might not even be playing Fallout 4 VR this night, tonight. It's going to take a long time because we know this is a huge game. It's a ton of gigs. How am I going to download all of this in time? So people were wondering about Fallout 4 preloads. Well, as of me taping this show, from what I understand is the preloads are either up now or they're going to be up in a matter of minutes, and people can start the process of downloading Fallout 4 VR to their computer. So that's good news. It's good news for me personally. I don't have the most blazingly fast internet in the world. I'm stuck with AT&T Uverse, not the greatest, and I need to start downloading Fallout 4 VR as soon as possible so that when we hit 4 p.m. Pacific, I might be able to get in there and get a chance at playing the game. Okay, and possibly the biggest news story of the day is that Fallout 4 VR appears to work absolutely fine with the Oculus Rift. We have a number of people on the Oculus Rift subreddit have reported that Fallout 4 VR is working absolutely fine. Now, there is one major catch, however. This one guy that was reporting on it said it works fine, but you have to opt out of the Steam VR beta, and a lot of Oculus Rift owners have opted in to the Steam VR beta because they wanted to play Doom VFR, and there was a fix for Doom VFR if you opted into the Steam VR beta. However, for some reason, we've gotten some reports that if you want to play Fallout 4 VR, you need to opt out of it. Otherwise, it's having problems, it won't run. Anyway, this one guy, he determined that if he opted out of the beta, everything is working fine. So you might have to do that to get Fallout 4 running on your Oculus Rift. But other than that, it supposedly runs relatively well. Now, there have been reports that the controls are a little bit janky because when you're trying to select stuff in your Pip-Boy and you're using the Oculus Rift thumbstick to move up and down, it doesn't work quite as well, apparently. There are some minor issues with that, but that's to be expected. This was not designed with the Oculus Rift in mind. This was designed very specifically for the HTC Vive and for use with the HTC Vive wands, and the translation is not going to be absolutely perfect. We've seen this before with a number of games. I can remember when I got the Mage's Tale originally, I did not own an Oculus Rift. I was playing it on Revive, and I can tell you that playing the Mage's Tale on Revive was very frustrating because the controls just didn't translate the way that you would like them to. And so this type of thing is going to happen, of course, in reverse for Oculus Rift owners. Games that are designed very specifically for the HTC Vive, they might work on the Oculus Rift, but the controls might be hampered to a degree. We've kind of seen this with Doom VFR. It's a little bit janky to control Doom VFR as it was not designed with the Oculus Touch controller in mind. But the good news is at least people are able to play Fallout 4 VR on their Oculus Rift, and so we're not going to have the same kind of meltdown that we had on the day when Doom VFR first became available, and it was an absolute shit show, let me tell you. On the Oculus subreddit, a lot of people complaining, a lot of people had their pitchforks polished to the 12th degree, ready to storm the castle in regards to Doom VFR, and then of course it was patched, everything was good, and so we'll just have to see how it shakes out with Fallout 4 VR. But if you do have an Oculus Rift, you probably want to go ahead and opt out of that Steam VR beta when you're trying to get it to run, unless it's been updated since earlier today, and that could of course happen. So maybe go ahead and check the subreddits for the latest information on that. Okay, so besides Fallout 4 VR, is there any other news going on in the VR world? And yes, there is. There is some other news. In fact, there is a major deal that is going on for the HTC Vive. So if you're looking to pick yourself up an HTC Vive, this is a one-day deal that Amazon has going, and this is probably the best deal that we've seen since Black Friday. In fact, this deal is kind of just as good as any of the Black Friday deals, if not better. So what is the deal? Well, Amazon, you can go to Amazon, you can get yourself an HTC Vive for $599. Now, that's the normal price that it's been at for a while now. So what is the deal? Well, the deal is Amazon is going to throw in a deluxe audio strap, which has around a $100 value. But that's not it. They're throwing in a $100 gift card, and that's really where this deal comes alive, because if you can get a $100 gift card to Amazon, well, that's almost as good as just getting $100 in cash. We've seen other deals where you can get a $100 gift card from Newegg, and that was a pretty decent deal, although that was an Oculus Rift deal, actually. And there's also been deals where you can get a gift card from Best Buy and some deals like that. But a $100 gift card to Amazon is definitely better, because we always are there's always something to buy on Amazon. Where Newegg, you might have to kind of think, you know, what do I really need to buy from Newegg? You might have to wait until it's time to buy a video card or some memory or something. And Best Buy, you know, there might not be anything at Best Buy that you really want to buy, but typically there's always something at Amazon to buy. And if there isn't something right now, there's probably going to be something that you really need to buy a couple weeks later anyways. So an Amazon gift card is always a nice deal. Now, this is a one-day deal, so it's only available today, and by the time episode 50 is uploaded onto YouTube, there's probably not going to be that many hours left in this deal. So if you want to grab yourself an HTC Vive on a pretty damn good deal, you might want to get over there real quick and try to grab that. Okay. In other news, this is somewhat related for VR, is the Ready Player One trailer. Yeah, the brand new trailer for Ready Player One has been released. Obviously, there was a lot of hilarity that ensued when the poster was released. There was a new poster for Ready Player One. It hit the internet, and basically everybody was commenting on the fact that this guy had one of his legs. It shows the main actor, the main character. He's climbing down a ladder or climbing up a ladder, and it shows one of his legs just looks like it extends onto infinity. And a lot of people had a lot of jokes. There was a lot of laughs about this guy's leg. But then we get the actual trailer, and the trailer looks really good. I went ahead and watched this a couple of different times. It's obviously taking full and total advantage of pop culture. There's a lot of video game characters that are mixed in. Battletoads, people are seeing Battletoads, people are seeing Tracer from Overwatch, people are seeing Chun-Li, people are seeing Chucky. I mean, there's all kinds of tiny things that are hidden. King Kong, all kinds of things are hidden into this trailer. I don't know how they got the rights to all of this stuff. I believe Warner Brothers is the studio behind Ready Player One, and they must have just had to pay just gobs of money to get the rights to feature all these little properties. But it really is a cornucopia of all kinds of classic properties from the 80s and 90s that are going to be mixed into the background of Steven Spielberg's next big movie. This is coming out in March of 2018. I don't think there's an exact release date in March. We just know that it's March. And on a side tangent, I will say that I know there's a documentary about Steven Spielberg's career that is either on Amazon Prime or Netflix. I'm not sure which one it is, but I know my wife had tuned in and started watching this Steven Spielberg documentary. I came in after it was already started, and I watched a little bit of it, and it actually is quite good. And it kind of goes over Steven Spielberg's career from like Jaws and Duel, that movie about that runaway 18-wheeler truck that was just psycho, Jaws and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and all of the E.T., all of the early movies that Steven Spielberg had made, even some of his movies that turned out to be major flops. And it kind of talks with Steven Spielberg and a lot of the actors that worked with Steven Spielberg over the years. It's actually a really good documentary, and I'm only bringing this up because I remembered I was watching this and I'm thinking, oh yeah, Steven Spielberg's new movie is his next movie is Ready Player One, and it's coming in March, so you might want to check that out. Can you believe it? I've never read Ready Player One, so I want to go ahead and pick this book up, and I want to read it prior to seeing this movie. I think that would be a good idea, so I'm looking forward to reading Ready Player One prior to this movie, but did see the trailer. Looks pretty cool, looks really interesting. It's going to be a wild movie, and the good thing about this movie really is what it can do for the VR industry in general, because I have a feeling that this movie is going to really resonate with a lot of people out there, and it's going to dramatically increase awareness of virtual reality in general. So if this movie becomes incredibly popular and really becomes a sensation, it can have an effect where it actually boosts the VR industry in general, just with more awareness out there, more people being aware of what virtual reality is and what it's all about. Now, on the downside, you might worry that this movie could give people false impressions of how good virtual reality is. You know, they might see this movie and think, oh my God, I can jump into a completely different reality by putting on a VR headset, and we're obviously not quite there yet. This movie, I believe, is set in the year 2045, and so if you realize that we're in 2017 right now, and just imagine another 25 years or so of VR development, where are we going to be at in another 25 years? So this might kind of give us a look into the future, and so hopefully people won't be a little bit too overhyped for VR, and then when they actually experience it, they're kind of let down. So that might be the only downside of this movie coming next year. In other news, We have everybody in Australia could go ahead and celebrate if you happen to be a PlayStation VR owner, because you can play The Last Guardian VR demo right now. Yeah, I saw this on the PSVR subreddit. This was, of course, announced over the weekend at PlayStation Experience that there would be a 15 to 20 minute playable section of The Last Guardian in VR, and this is available right now. And actually, you can make an Australian account on your PSVR and go ahead and download this right now if you don't want to wait till tomorrow. The Last Guardian VR is going to be available in Europe and in the USA tomorrow, but if you don't want to wait, you can go ahead and make yourself an Australian account and download it right now. I do have a couple of impressions from some people that have already downloaded this and have already tried it. This is from Reddit. One guy says, looks gorgeous, really sharp and detailed, playing on a PS4 Pro. It has smooth turning, but it uses teleportation to move around. Not complaining because it's free. Another guy says, it gets really nice in the outside area. Nothing special, but for a free experience, definitely worth a try. And so that's a couple people on Reddit that have already sampled this experience out and say that it is definitely worth a try. So you might want to check that out. Okay, Resident Evil Not a Hero DLC is also available down under. Man, you Australians, you guys might have to pay like 4 times the amount we have to pay for a video game, but at least you're getting all this stuff one day ahead of the rest of the world, right? So at least you have one little thing that you can celebrate. And also Stranger Things VR. This was coming, of course, to PlayStation Network. This is available in Australia right now as well. So you could go ahead and set up an Australian account for your PlayStation VR, and you could download all of these experiences. You could download The Last Guardian VR, you could download the Resident Evil Not a Hero DLC, and you could download Stranger Things VR experience. You could download all of that now and get that one day ahead of time. Am I going to go ahead and set up an Australian account for my PlayStation VR? No, I'm not. I'm a little too lazy for that. I will simply wait for tomorrow, and I will try all these things out tomorrow rather than today. Remember, today is Fallout 4 VR Day. It is a nationally celebrated holiday. This is the day that Fallout 4 VR saves VR single-handedly. So we really need to give thanks and praise to Bethesda Game Studios for single-handedly saving the VR industry. Okay, let's go to the next news story. Next news story I have is the very first live-action VR movie has been announced. Now, I say the first live-action VR movie because we already have a VR movie. Yeah, the first VR movie is The Invisible Hours, and this is available right now. You can get this for your Oculus Rift. You can get this for your HTC Vive. You can get this for PlayStation VR. The Invisible Hours by Tequila Works, published by Game Trust. In my opinion, this is the first VR movie. Now, it will set you back $30. It's $29.99, but I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think it gives us a glimpse into the future of storytelling, where storytelling becomes more about a location rather than an individual story. It's more about a location and stories happening at a location, and you get to go to different parts of the location and visit different parts of the story, but you can't see everything at one time, so you got to make a decision. Now, what I'm talking about here with this live action movie, this is something a little bit different. The movie is called Speed Kills VR, and it is being directed by Travis Cloyd. It is starring John Travolta. We all remember John Travolta, really big star, kind of made a comeback, became a big star. He's kind of disappeared from the scenes for a number of years. I don't know what's been going on with him. Kind of got ostracized a little bit by Hollywood, I guess. Maybe something to do with, the Tom Cruise situation as well. What is that crazy religion that they're into? I forget what it's called. I'm slipping my mind, but might have been part of the reason that John Travolta kind of got ostracized from Hollywood to a degree. But he is going to be the main star of this particular VR movie. Now, This movie is going to be available in normal, regular mode, but it will also be available in a VR mode. And Top Dog VR is helping produce the VR version of the movie. Now, the VR version is going to feature over 60 minutes of content, but it's going to be broken up into 8 segments, because a lot of people feel that VR is better in short bursts. I'm kind of one of these people as well. I know that we do have people out there that will put a VR headset on for 5 straight hours and they'll just go into a VR marathon just playing VR all day long. I kind of wish I could do that. I can't really seem to do that. I get a little bit too much eye strain. I need to bow out after about an hour and a half or so. I kind of am a little bit envious of you guys that can just do these VR marathons, but apparently you guys are a little bit more in the minority, and the majority are people that prefer more of these short burst VR experiences. And so what they're doing with Speed Kills VR is they are going to break it up into 8 individual segments. Now, footage from this movie was captured with 360-degree cameras fitted to drones and other sorts of things to capture this movie. And they do have a small segment that you can download on YouTube, and it's 360 enabled, so you can probably download this and get it onto one of your 360 video players and sample it in your headset. It's basically a 360 video that is long form in movie form. So I don't know how good this is going to be, because a lot of the 360 VR footage that we get, it's just not very good. Once they try to spread it around all around you, it's just the resolution is just not there yet, and the amount of gigs that you would have to download of video quality to make it look really good is very difficult. So anyways, the good news is that this is the first live action VR movie that we know about, and it's good to see a lot of these companies making these attempts, trying this stuff out, breaking new ground. There's probably going to be a lot of failures early on, a lot of stuff that doesn't work, but we got to push forward. We got to keep doing this. We got to keep making these efforts, because eventually we're going to break through and we're going to figure out what a VR movie really looks like. Personally, I think we should go more towards what the Invisible Hours is doing and just try to make stuff like that look better and better and better, rather than try to do live action. But hey, we got to push this thing forward. We got to figure this out. Eventually we're going to get there. And when we eventually have live action movies that just look absolutely breathtaking, and where it's like you can just basically stand inside the movie and watch the movie envelop you, that is going to be truly magical. So we're definitely looking forward to that. All right, so I just have a couple of quick announcements from, of course, the PlayStation experience that happened over the weekend. If you guys watch VR Roundtable, this might be a little bit of a rehash, because on episode 65 of VR Roundtable, we cover a lot of this stuff. But there could be some daily vlog viewers that don't really check out VR Roundtable. So I'll go over a couple of these games real quick. Wipeout Omega Collection. This is the one that really stood out to me. Wipeout Omega Collection VR. So basically what we're getting here is Wipeout Omega Collection is already available, and what this game does is it takes tracks from Wipeout HD, from Wipeout Fury, and from Wipeout 2048. Takes all these different Wipeout tracks, they remastered them for 4K resolution, they redid the sound. Now this, of course, if you're playing it on a PlayStation 4 Pro, and if you're playing it in pancake mode. But now there is going to be a VR mode. So basically all of these tracks are going to work in VR. They've created 3 new ships that you can choose, where the interiors have been completely redone to take advantage of VR. It takes advantage of head tracking. The 3D audio is going to be enhanced to a major degree. This is Wipeout in VR, and I can tell you I've been a Wipeout fan since the very beginning. I actually bought a PlayStation system back in 1995 on launch day. I remember it was the Software Etc. in the Arden Fair Mall in Sacramento, California. I bought a PlayStation system on launch day. I remember playing Man, what were the games back at that time? It was like Ridge Racer. Yeah, Ridge Racer was a launch game. Can't remember a lot of the other launch games. Rayman, I think, was a launch game. Ridge Racer was a launch game. But I had a PlayStation, the original PlayStation at launch, and that November or December, Wipeout came out, and it was a brand new game. No one ever heard of Wipeout, and Wipeout just blew everybody the hell away. And ever since then, Wipeout has been a key franchise for PlayStation. It's a really awesome game. Of course, we got Wipeout HD on PlayStation 3, which was really awesome. Incredible game. One of the better games for PlayStation 3. And then we got this Wipeout Omega Collection for PlayStation 4. And I remember when they first announced Wipeout Omega Collection, I was like, oh my God, this has to support VR. It has to support VR. And then we found out no VR. And I was like, oh my God, really? This is not going to support VR? Well, there's good news. At the PlayStation Experience on Saturday, it was announced that this will support VR. So I'm really looking forward to Wipeout Omega Collection VR. There were a number of other games that were announced as well. Jupiter and Mars is a new game that was announced. Now, this is coming from Tigertron, which features 2 former OneUp.com employees. Do you guys remember EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly, and OneUp.com? It used to be a pretty good video game website back in the early 2000s. I don't even know if it exists anymore, but James Milkey and Sam Kennedy, these were 2 guys that worked for OneUp. They've started their own video game development studio called Tigertron, and their first game is called Jupiter and Mars, and it features 2 dolphins that are swimming through a post-apocalyptic planet Earth where humans are no longer around. Humans have disappeared completely, and it looks really interesting, looks really cool. That is called Jupiter and Mars. It is coming sometime in 2018. Of course, we found out that Killing Floor Incursion and Knockout Kings is coming to PlayStation VR. We found out about Firewall 0 Hour, which kind of looks like a Rainbow Six type game on PlayStation VR. That looks really cool. Rick and Morty is coming to PlayStation VR. Dreams is going to have PlayStation VR support, but not right at the very beginning. It's going to come a little bit later. And of course, Accounting Plus. We of course heard that Accounting Plus is coming to PlayStation VR on December 19th. Alrighty guys, I basically hit about the 27-minute mark, so I'm going to go ahead and call this episode 50 of the VR Game Rankings Daily Vlog Series. Thanks for watching. Once again, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Go ahead and leave a comment, and go ahead and tell a buddy. If you got a buddy that is really into VR, they might not know about this VR Game Rankings Daily Vlog, so go ahead and pass the word on. Let's get more people to know about this. We're trying to bring you a decent VR news program every day, Monday through Friday, trying to do my best job that I can. And so go ahead and definitely spread the word on that. And that's going to go ahead and do it. So everybody have a wonderful Monday. Definitely play yourself some Fallout 4 VR and go ahead and leave some comments. How is Fallout 4 VR? I might be able to read some of those comments on tomorrow's episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. So everybody have a great Monday. See ya later.